Sounds like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang could want out of Chelsea, Herc, and may want in on LAFC, the defending MLS Cup champions. What do you think? Good fit?
I don't even know these rules anymore. I thought they couldn't add another DP. Is he not going to be a DP? Is Chelsea going to magically take away all that salary? And
oh, come on. You know it's Los Angeles and Major League Soccer. They're going to figure it out, baby. They're going to figure it out.
They will. They will figure it out because it is LA. And the players want to come because it is LA. Listen, just because he wasn't playing for Chelsea doesn't mean he can't be a good player or a very good player in Major League Soccer LAFC. He's still a player with a lot to produce, a lot to offer. If any indication of what we saw with that Barcelona team that wasn't the strongest Barcelona to what he did there and what we think he could do here in Major League Soccer, he still has a lot to offer.
11 goals in 17 games in the second half of that season with Barcelona after making the move over from Arsenal, specifically with LAFC. Carlos Vela, Dennis Bouanga. Would it be a good fit, how he plays, how he fits into what they do?
No, not as a starter. And well, you don't want to bring him in.
Exactly. You're not bringing in Aubameyang to sit the bench.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. You're not bringing him to sit the bench. And why? No. Why not? Because Chicho Arango, who was a goal scorer, who produced so many dangerous plays for LAFC, who was, for all intents and purposes, already a DP in his numbers on the field, not off the field, not in the checkbook, but on the field, was being asked to do all those other things that Steve Cherundolo and LAFC want to do, the high press, the defensive scheme, the work rate, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think you're going to get that here. But it doesn't mean he can't be a good player. It doesn't mean he can't be a star player in Major League Soccer. But just what we've seen of Steve Cherundolo and this LAFC, I don't know if it's the best fit, the natural fit. That said, good players find a way to impact the game anywhere.
I'm thinking of the roster rules. Of course, we know there's only so many designated players that you can put on a team in Major League Soccer. We know Aubameyang would probably want big money, right? Even if Chelsea's going to pay a large, significant portion of that salary. But we look at the examples, right, from last summer. Gareth Bale, Giorgio Chiellini, guys who you thought would want DP money, but who came in on less than that because they wanted to be, not just in Los Angeles, I think we got to give specific credit, they wanted to be part of the project there with LAFC. Does LAFC and does the LA teams in general, do they have an advantage here over everybody else in Major League Soccer when it comes to this type of recruiting?
Absolutely. Because it's California, because it's Los Angeles, because if you're not from the States and you play in one of these top tier leagues around the world, one of these top clubs around the world, you want to come to the States. You want to have that time to yourself where you're not recognized everywhere you go, where you're not hounded, where you're not criticized the same way, where you're not pressured the same way. And there are few places, unlike Los Angeles, and there are only a handful of clubs in Major League Soccer that have this advantage. Both LA clubs have this advantage. And now you say they want to be part of this LAFC project. I don't even think they know the difference between LAFC and LA Galaxy. That's a reality. Right. But they know it's Los Angeles.
All right. Well, maybe that's why Ronaldo didn't end up going to Sporting Kansas City, right? Just maybe it was the market. How big is the risk here for a player like Aubameyang? 33 years old, obviously coming off, as you mentioned, a lack of productivity at Chelsea. Before that, when he made the move from Arsenal to Barcelona, there was concerns over attitude there with Mikel Arteta. Would you have any worries about bringing a player like this to Major League Soccer?
For the player for Major League Soccer, because there's risks that go both ways. Now, I think there's more risk for the player. You're going into a situation where if it doesn't work here, that's your exit, that's your bow out of global football, at least at the elite level, right? You're not going to get these Barcelonas, these Madrids, these Chelseas coming after you anymore. You're not talking about a step down if it doesn't work out here. So that's a huge risk for the player, but for Major League Soccer, what risk is there? If anything, you have to take these gambles. If anything, if you're Major League Soccer right now, you have to go for players going to draw eyeballs. Now, we've mentioned many times the new Apple deal. Now, that's $250 million that's going to go to Major League Soccer in games they have to produce. And Seb, you've already mentioned you probably think it's going to eat up over $100 million, if not more, of that production cost for producing their own games, right? Well, it's a very niche sport in the States, but those eyeballs that are already niche, guess who they are? They're the ones who buy your season tickets. And per MLS and Apple, you get a season pass for Apple TV if you buy season tickets, if you have season tickets. So that could really take a chunk out of that as well. So you desperately need these eyeballs. And what better way to get eyeballs than stars?
Star power signings. That's what Herculez Gomez wants from Major League Soccer. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to LAFC. Herc, not so hot on that idea. Let's wait to the summer and see what happens.
On the clock, Galaxy. On the clock.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.